ufak başlayalım.
Okay, it's up to you.
Yes, we can start. Everybody ready? If everybody ready, please everybody close the microphone except the speakers during the presentation. Dear audiences, welcome you all. This is the first station of our in the station we have 6
Nisan stoğu. Hayırlı bir şey olan. Stokla bu Yelda'nın
Rıdvan hocam sizi kapatır mısınız?
Close your microphone. Please close your microphone. Dear audiences, can you hear me? Everybody close the microphone.
Rıdvan hocam sesi kapatır mısınız?
Ya duymuyorlar. Kapatsınlar lütfen. Cızırtı yapıyor.
Okay.
Everybody close the microphone. Okay. In the session, we have 6 distinguished presenters. Before starting, I should make a reminder. Duration of each presentation is restricted as 15 minutes. Due to the time constraint, therefore, I ask the presenters abide this rule. Also, except the presenters, other attendees, please close the microphone. Another important point is this. Our first presentation belongs to Mr. Yengade. Dear Yengade, I'd like to invite you to the stage and you can make your presentation. Please reflect your presentation to the screen and start to speak. Yes, we are listening to you. Mr. Yengade, you can start.
Yengade, yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Professor Yengade, you can start.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for this particular opportunity. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Yengade.
Yeah, thank you so much. Today I'll be speaking on the bottlenecks in the global millet supply chain.
Nobody can hear, Mr. Yengade.
So,
there is a problem with your computer, I think.
Actually, I can hear Mr. Civelek, Professor Civelek, but Yengade can stand up. Yengade can stand up and come a bit in front of the chairs. It would be better. Because the voice is depending on the distance between you and the audience. Come in front, please come in front of the chairs, please. Mr. Yengade, Professor Yengade, come please in front of the podium.
I'm on the chair. Hello?
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm on the chair.
Okay. We are waiting for you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. I'll start the presentation on bottlenecks in the global millet supply chain. And to begin with, I would like to say that at the biotechnology consultancy, we are the consultancy firm that provides services to the clients in the agro-food processing sector, including those involved in the production and processing of the millets. We have expertise in a range of areas, including food processing, project management, research and development, market research, and training services. One of the key areas where biotechnology consultancy is working with millet producers is in the improvement of post-harvesting farming practices to the farmers. In addition to that, we are working with millet processing companies. This is helping them to optimize their processing methods to ensure that millet products meet customers' demand for their texture, flavor, and nutritional values. So we, as a food scientist, as a food technologist, we are working on texture development and flavors, incorporating different kinds of flavors in food, and of course, nutrition. Millets are nutritionally versatile, and they are rich in different kind of millets and rich in nutrients. Also, we are working on the nutritional values fortification in different food products. Another area we are working is we are involved in the millet supply chain and the market research to identify the market trends. As a part of this particular session for the International Conference on Contemporary Issues in Conference, I will be speaking on the market research that we have been doing that may be useful, that would be useful for the Istanbul Commerce University. So by providing our expertise and support across the range of areas, we are helping, ultimately benefiting millet farmers, processing companies, and ultimately the consumers. So this is how we have been helping the companies in the millet processing as well as consumers. So again, coming back to my second slide, I would like to inform that we are more into kind of this particular year. The United Nations has declared 2023 as the International Year of Millets, and I would say that it is very much significant. Millets are nutritious that are often overlooked in many parts of countries, and by promoting nutritional benefits of millets, including their high fiber mineral content, as well as their high gluten, as well as their gluten-free nature, we can raise awareness. We can raise awareness of their potential role in addressing food insecurity and malnutrition, including India's post-colonial era during the Green Revolution, which was prioritized. So, there are so many things that are happening in India, and India is predominantly a millet India millet is predominantly consumed in major capacity, particularly in the rural areas. Whereas this particular year will signify the sustainable production and quality critical components of the agriculture system, and millet production is no exception to that. And by inspiring stakeholders these particular years to be prioritize sustainable production practices, and we can promote more resilient and productive millet systems, elevating awareness of millets nutritional benefits, inspiring stakeholders to improve sustainable production and quality, and investing in R&D and essential services are all critical components of promoting the growth and development of millet sector. By working together to achieve these aims, this year we can help to increase access to nutritious food and improve insecurity and livelihood of millions people around the world. So I would like to say that the millets are cultivated in various parts of the world, and like coming back to my slide, I would like to say that fourth slide I would say that millets are cultivated in various parts of the world. And we all are aware that climate change, including Asia, we are aware of climate change, including Asia and Africa. Millet is a critical staple food cultivated in various parts of the world, but it faces significant challenges in global supply chain. So this particular point that how they are facing challenges, how the supply chain is breaking down, and why the millets are not getting much promotion is a very important part of this particular in Asia and Africa. One of the main obstacles is limited awareness and demand of millets product in the developed countries. Many developed countries are not much aware about the millets, or in few developed countries there is no much awareness about the nutritional values of millets. Additionally, the quality of millet can vary greatly depending on various factors such as the growing conditions, the what you call the storage conditions, or the processing techniques, which can result in an inconsistent quality throughout supply chain, particularly in developing countries. Uh, International trade regulations and restrictions are creating barriers in entire hindering the availability of and the prices of millets in the global supply chain. Supply and demand is quite imbalanced when it comes to the millet, and the more important thing is the poor transportation infrastructure, and inadequate processing capacity is posing challenge in ensuring consistent supply of the millet in developing as well as the developed countries. I would say that both the countries in both the parts of world, developed and developed countries, that they are consistently and failing to supply millets in their part or different parts of the world. So there is a lot of need for these Asia and African countries to play a major role to supply millet in different parts of world. And furthermore, as I said, climate change is significantly affecting millet production worldwide, leading to crop failures due to erratic rainfall and drought, which impacts the availability of price of millets in the global market. And during the last years, heat wave have created, we have seen a fall in cereal production throughout the world, especially in the developing countries. And, like this particular cereal production has gone down. As a result, we have been facing a price rise. So millet could play a huge role. The global supply chain of millets, particularly in Asia and Africa, they produce around 90% of millets of the world. So these particular countries could play a huge role in the supply chain of the millets across globe. So coming to my next slide, I would say that uh, coming to my next slide, the being of food industry market research, being in the food industry consultant into market research and research development, we have been observing many challenges in the millet processing. In particular, I would like to say that millet is often referred as a nutri-cereals, is renowned for its high nutritional content, comprising protein, fiber and micronutrients, and some phytochemicals, and its low carbon and water footprints. Millets can grow in outwards and arid conditions. So with all minimum inputs, I would say that, making them suitable for cultivation on relatively poor soil is also one of the flexible solution, and it is controlling, or it is a kind of a climate friendly crop. It is domesticated early on. Millets have been traditional staple crop for uh, millions of families in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia. Uh, at this moment, I would say that currently over 90% of millets production take place in developing countries, majorly in Africa and Asia. with rise in food habits, wheat saw a great rise in production due to its easy preparation methods. Wheat was also traded as one of the main commodities. However, in case of millets, its gluten-free nature did not practically allow many food scientists to adopt uh, and to innovate in other form or to fortify it with different food, uh, by different food techniques. Less work has been done in research and development on millets as compared to wheat or one of the main or the other products are rice or the predominantly globally consumed one of the main product is maize. So now many scientists are tending to work on adopting, they're working on fibers. So the food fiber is one of the main component that is one of the, one of the globally traded community. So many scientists are working on that. And secondly, millets micronutrients are being, micronutrients are being worked to fortify in different kind of food. So I would like to now say that how millets should be positioned in non-millet countries. So almost all the non-millet countries consume wheat or maize as a staple food, except Asia. They consume a lot of rice, which is less, and all these commodities that I'm mentioning, these are less nutritious. So, I'm sure this particular International Year of Millet celebrated by the United Nations will help to propagate the world millet. Climate change is one of the significant trouble that world has been facing. And, in this context, the millet can be strategically positioned in non-millet countries. So as food technologist, I would like to say developing texture and taste of the product is utmost priority. And issues in developing, developing worldwide millet supply chain should be sorted out, especially in developing countries has a lot of responsibility. So I would like to say that there are so many opportunities for the Istanbul Commerce University. Istanbul Commerce University has a huge role play in extension research and branding studies. The global millet market faces significant strategic marketing challenges that hinders its growth and expansion. One of the key challenges limited awareness and demand of millet products in developed countries, which limits export potential of millets uh, in millet producing nations. So, there's a pressing need for effective marketing strategy that highlights the value of millet and increase its demand in a global supply chain. Uh, there have been, rising tensions between Russia and Ukraine as well. So there's like little, what you call, there's a little impact on the global market of this particular, what you call, uh, the impact on global supply chain. But however, I would say that wheat dependent countries have seen lot many things because of this particular war. And so, as we have been working with entrepreneurs, policymakers, thinkers, supply chain. So my message for the entrepreneurs is that, millets are gaining high recognition for their potential in combating lifestyle diseases as they are rich in nutrition and could boost immunity. The COVID-19 recently, that was the World Health Organization declared that now we are COVID free, or there's a less, there's less kind of impact of COVID on the world. So the COVID-19 pandemic has further emphasizes the importance of such a crop such as millets. The food fiber market and food nutrients make market is growing with the health awareness. So entrepreneurs have a lot many opportunities. And millets are coming to global forefront, and the recent resolution by United Nations
Yengade,
General
Mr.
Assembly.
Yengade, your time is about to over. Please wrap up
Yeah.
your presentation.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. So, in the conclusion, I would like to say that millets are coming up. Millets are coming to the global forefront with this awareness by United Nations. So, this particular resolution observed by the UN to observe the year 2023 as a International Year of Millets for emphasizing the importance of nutrition-rich crops and climate changing condition is one of the important step in that direction for generating millet processing economy and to combat nutrition. So that's all I want to say. Thank you so much. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Do you have any question, dear audiences? Yes. Next study belongs to Sabri Öz and Mehmet Akif Özyurt. Therefore, I like to invite the Dr. Öz to the stage. Please, Dr. Öz, please come to the stage for the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Welcome to our second international conference on contemporary issues e-commerce, and I would like to present. Meanwhile, Talha, can you hear me? Talha, is there any problem with voice? No problem. Okay. Okay, fine. So we are mentioning about chip crisis in the whole of the world, and we are facing with actually after the COVID-19 with that type of crisis. First of all, I would like to say, let me open the second, yes, this one. We have made for this paper, for this presentation, a bibliometric analysis, what would have been studied up to now in Web of Science and Scopus, elsewhere, Elsevier, etc. And we have seen that there are no such kind of research papers actually on chip crisis. Yes, there are so many studies on chip production, semiconductivity, semiconductor productions, etc. But we can see that chip shortage and chip crisis have just 19 studies. So this would make our special distinguish. And why we care about the chip crisis and how did it start? It is very important for us because chip crisis have mainly a kind of distortion at the beginning of the COVID-19 time, and when we look at the increased demand with the growth of the electronics industry and the increasing demand for high performance chips in various sectors such as smartphones, data centers, and electric cars, there has been an increase in demand for semiconductors. Meanwhile, shortage of raw materials is also an important reason for chip crisis. And we can say that the production of semiconductors requires several raw materials, including silicon wafers, which have been in short supply due to increased demand. Also, the gases which is used in semiconductivity and chips in production is also a shortage due to the Ukraine and Russia wars. Supply chain disruptions, as I have said in the beginning, COVID-19 pandemic has caused disruptions in the supply chain, leading to shortages of critical components and materials required for semiconductor manufacturing. First of all, when they have given their orders to especially TMSF, which is the Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturing plant, they have canceled their orders when COVID-19 has started at 2019, in the end of the 2019. And after that, the whole world, when they have shut down, and they started to use their special cars rather to go together. So this would increase the automobile industry's production, but they face with a kind of shortage in chips. Automobile industry is very important for chip crisis because in any normal automobile, we may use thousands of chips, but when we increase the specifications of the automobile, let's say it's automatic and electricity, it would be 2,500, almost 2,500 chips are used in an electrical cars. When we want to produce autonomous cars, this number would be over 10,000. So this is very important for automobile industry. There are also some other reasons: trade wars, natural disasters, especially on Taiwan, natural disasters, production capacity constraints, and intellectual property protection is also one of the main reasons for such kind of crisis. So, as I have said, chips actually semiconductor productivity systems are used in every kind of sectors, from agriculture to health center, healthcare system, and supply chain management. In every stage of supply chain management, we can face with the usage of semiconductor chips. When we look at the importance of chip manufacturing, we can say that this is a pie chart here. We can see that it would almost 1/3 of the whole is on computing system, on electronic devices in indoor usage. Wireless also uses 126, as you see here, almost 1/3, and automotive industry is almost 1/7 of the whole usage in the world. But it is very important, as I said. Now, our methodology is depending on a kind of literature review, but we will make also a detailed bibliometric analysis to be able to support our study, and find out the key parameters that should be considered when creating a chip manufacturing system in a plant. By carefully evaluating these parameters, select an alternative plant that meets the requirements for establishing a successful chip manufacturing operation. Once we have find out the parameters, we have to pairwise comparison of the parameters using CAT index as it is illustrated in the analytic hierarchic process, AHP process. Since we use a kind of AHP, actually fuzzy AHP, for weighting of these parameters, and then calculating the weights of each parameters, which shows the importance of the parameters, and under consistency with the 90% over 90%, except the weights, and this will sorry, this will also make us election in between the alternative plants in anywhere in any location. When we when we focus on Turkey, we have almost 888 single locations, we can say, and we can use the alternative elections with Topsys, Electra, Vicor, Promete methods to decide the best alternative plant for chip manufacturing system. So when we look at the parameters of chip manufacturing plant location, we can say that the most important one is clean room facilities. So this is also related with human resource and human actually capital. Clean room facilities, the know-how we mean. The manufacturing process of chips requires a high level of cleanliness, and a clean room environment is necessary to avoid contamination during production. So the plant must have clean room facilities that can maintain the required levels of cleanliness, such as HEPA filters, positive air pressure, and anti-static fluorine, etc. The second key parameter may be access to reliable power and water. Water is very important. Think that an ordinary chip factory, when we want to create such kind of factory, it is equivalent to use the same water sources with the 50,000 population living in town's water consumption. So water is very, very important in our chip plant. And environmental conditions is also important. As you know, Turkey is a kind of disastrous location, earthquakes location. So we have to take care of environmental conditions with the earthquake lines also. Proximity to suppliers and customers is also very important, as I have said. Labor cost and availability, this is important for chip plant factories, because as I have said, chip itself is a kind of capital weighted production system. So proximity and suppliers and customers, time to market is also important. Regulatory requirements and space and layouts are also important factors, as we have studied from the literature. And now, lastly, we have asked to ChatGPT and OpenAI. Actually, it is not open right now, but anyhow, we can use it. When we ask to ChatGPT as an artificial intelligence, what is the most important parameter when we want to create a chip manufacturing system plant? This is actually our main research question of our paper. So he says, it says, or we don't know whether he is or she is, the most weighted parameter can depend on various factors, such as the specific needs and priorities of the company, the location of the plant, and the target market. So that being said, the clean room facilities are often considered one of the most important parameters when creating a chip manufacturing plant. The manufacturing process of chips requires a high level of cleanliness, and a clean room environment is necessary to avoid contamination during production. Therefore, having clean room facilities that can maintain the required levels of cleanliness etc. And other parameters such as access to reliable power and water, environmental conditions, proximity and suppliers and customers, labor costs and availability, regulatory requirements, and space and layout are also important considerations. The optimal combination of these parameters can vary depending on the specific requirements of the chip manufacturing plant. So this is a general, a kind of politic answer for artificial intelligence. But as I have said, we are focusing on Turkey and where and how we can choose a plant location when we want to create a chip manufacturing system, chip manufacturing plant in Turkey. This is very important for Turkey because, as you might know, we have many big investments on especially defense system, defense industry in Turkey, and so we have to make our national chips, especially in small lengths and in small sizes, up to maybe 5 microns, etc., 5 nanomicrons, etc. Actually, one more thing I want to mention about chip industry in the whole world. There are so many investments in all over the world. Especially Taiwan, as I have said, is the number one, and also they are increasing their investments on chip industry, and they have invest almost $40 billion on Arizona in United States of America, and this is one of the main strength of the China and Taiwan relations, and also Germany and Netherlands also invest so much money so much capital to chip industry. Also, their aim, especially European Union tries to increase their percentage of the whole market, 20% up to the 2030, which means 7 years later. Turkey, as I have said, also tries to invest on chip industry. And last month, South Korea also increased their chip industry, and they have decided to increase their investment $100 billion coming 5 years. So these are all says that the importance of the chip industry coming years for especially digital transformation. Thank you for listening, and this is the end of my presentation, Professor. If they have any question, I can answer.
Dr. Öz, thank you for your presentation, and also thank you for the effective use of your time. Also, next study belongs to Şüheda Baran and Halit Ahmet Kahraman. Therefore, I like to invite Mrs. Baran to the stage and make the presentation. Mrs. Baran, we are listening to you.
Hello everyone, I am Şüheda Baran. We prepared this study with my colleague Halit Ahmet Kahraman, and I am looking forward to talking with you today about our study, that is analysis of competitiveness of Turkey in defense industry among G7 countries. My talk this morning is divided into 5 main sections. First, introduction and brief information about defense industry and competitiveness. Second, literature review. Third, methodology. Fourth, findings. And the last one is conclusion and advice to future researchers. In the introduction part, the defense industry sector can be defined as the industry that deals with the production of all kinds of war equipment and tools necessary for a country's security. Despite the prediction of a decrease in defense spending worldwide, After the end of the Cold War, increases have been seen due to the strengthening of terrorism and struggles between countries. As a result of these increases, the importance of the defense industry has increased even more. In the last period of Ottoman Empire and the early years of the Republic, Turkey took steps towards creating a domestic and national defense industry. However, with Turkey becoming a NATO member in 1952, it moved away from the domestic and national defense industry approach, and procurement was largely provided from foreign sources. After the 1974 Cyprus peace operation, Turkey was subjected to an arms embargo by the United States and NATO only. As a result, Turkey began to turn to domestic and national resources again in the defense industry. Defense industry, security is one of the most fundamental needs. The need for internal and external security, which is of a societal nature, is a public service. If internal and external security are not ensured in a country, public order will collapse and there can be no talk of economic development and growth. Therefore, defense can be considered as one of the most important elements of a sovereign state. Adam Smith, known as the founder of liberal doctrine, advocated for the necessity of the state to have low efficiency in economic activities. However, he emphasized the importance of defense with the statement, defense is more important than wealth, and also stated that concessions could be made in the defense industry filed from liberal doctrine. The defense industry is a sector of the economy that is responsible for producing equipment and technology used by military forces. The industry plays a significant role in national security and is critical to the defense of a nation's interests. The defense industry is characterized by a high degree of specialization, research and development, and production capabilities. The defense industry is an industry that interacts with many sectors. The main sectors of the defense industry are classified as follows: aerospace and defense industry, weapons and ammunition industry, military shipbuilding industry, rocket and missile industry, military automotive and armored vehicle industry, electronics industry, military clothing industry. Competitiveness. Competitiveness is defined as achieving a high standard of living and acceptable growth rates in the country without reducing the living standards of future generations, researching full employment or near full employment levels. Well then, how we can establish a connection between defense industry and competition? Competitiveness is an important factor in the defense industry. In order for a country to maintain a strong national defense, its defense industry must be competitive. Competitiveness in defense industry can be defined as the ability of a country's defense industry to provide its military with the necessary equipment and technology to efficiently protect its national interests. Competitiveness in the defense industry is critical for a country's military to be prepared to meet the challenges it faces. Several factors affect competitiveness in the defense industry. These include technological innovation, economies of scale, cost structure, and government policies. For example, government policies can play a significant role in shaping the competitiveness of countries' defense industry through regulation, funding, and procurement policies. In literature review, there are studies analyzing the competitiveness of the defense industry. In the study by Yeşilkaya, the competitive power of the Turkish defense industry in 5 selected products and product groups was analyzed. They used explained comparative advantage, relative export advantage, and relative import advantage in this were calculated in their analysis. As a result, it was observed that the Turkish defense industry did not have export advantage in the analyzed products and products group. And then in the study by Bhushan and her friends, the competitive power of the defense industries of the United States, Russia, Egypt, and Turkey was analyzed. And then they used relative trade advantage, relative export advantage, and relative competitiveness in this. According to the result of this study, it was determined that Turkey has had a high competitive power in defense industry exports since 2011. And then Sandalcılar and her friends study analyzed the export competitiveness of Turkey and the US in defense industry products and products group. Additionally, this study, Turkey was found to have an advantage in the foreign trade of non-military firearms and parts of components. And the last one, in the study conducted by ATES, individual product-based analysis were carried out, and it was found to export competitiveness was high in some product groups. Now, before I mention about competitiveness in defense industry among Turkey and G7 countries, I want to show you a graph about defense expenditure of Turkey and G7 countries. Yes, when we look at the graph, we can see that USA has really high defense expenditure, and then the UK follows USA. When we analyze this data, we see that Canada and Turkey have the lowest value about the defense expenditure. But Turkey's defense expenditure increases day by day. Also, the next graph, in this table, you can see defense expenditure as a share of real GDP. When we figure out data about Turkey from this table, we can see that Turkey increased expenditure of defense and among the G7 countries. This rate is not negligible. In addition, 3 Turkish companies are listed in the Defense New Top 100, which is considered the world's most prestigious defense industry list. Based on this information, we decide research competitive power of Turkey in defense industry, and we want to compare this competitiveness G7 countries and Turkey. Because Turkey is emerging economy and the importance of defense is increasing. Starting from the question of whether Turkey has a competitive advantage in defense industry products compared to G7 countries, we conducted this research and our analyses are ongoing. There are various traits in this used to determine a country's competitive. We used revealed comparative advantage index. We selected the defense product that we consider as defense industry products and used 4-digit codes from the harmonized system. And we can skip our findings. You can see the values greater than 1 marked in blue as a result of a calculation. The United States has a competitive advantage in the first group. In the second product group, the USA, Germany, Italy, and Turkey have a competitive advantage. In the third group, Turkey, USA, Canada, Italy, and Germany have a competitive advantage. Turkey has a competitive advantage in the fifth and sixth group also. Let's examine Turkey's export in defense products to G7 and world and the next tables. Also, Turkey imports these products from G7 and world. Next table, please. Next table. And next page. Next, please. Again. Thank you. Let's examine Turkey's export in defense product. Yes, we can see now. Also, Turkey imports these products from G7 and world. Also, we can skip this table also. We can skip. When we look these data, we can see positive trade balance. We are facing a hopeful picture, I think. When we skip the conclusion, in this study, the competitiveness of Turkey in selected defense industry products has been analyzed. Individual products-based analysis was conducted, and it was found that the export competitiveness is high in some product groups, while it is relatively low in others. It seems difficult for Turkey which has a challenging geographical location to reduce its defense spending. Therefore, having a domestic and national defense industry is extremely important for Turkey. Based on the findings of this study, it can be said that Turkey's dependency on foreign sources has decreased in defense industry products. However, it was observed that the export competitiveness and specialization are low in certain products and products groups. Increasing Turkey's competitiveness in these products and products groups will not only reduce foreign dependency but also increase exports. In future research, the analysis regarding this study are ongoing, as I said. Competitiveness analysis of the mentioned product groups will be conducting using different competitiveness index, and this index will be compared among themselves. In addition, the study will be enriched by adding different product groups related to defense industry. Thank you for listening. These are our references.
Thank you for your presentation. Next presenters, next study belongs to Bülent Ibrahim, Hazzam, Ahmet, Aljarah, Hamzah, Elrehail. I want to invite Bülent Ibrahim for the presentation. Mr. Ibrahim, are you ready?
Yes, yes, hocam. I think I'm sitting
Yeah,
in the yes, I'm sitting in correct chair. Yes,
Yes.
yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
We can
So,
start.
yeah. So, hello for everyone. Just I want to first start with my proposal. I am Bülent Ibrahim. I am from Istanbul Ticaret University, Department of Business Administration English. I'm presenting here the proposal entitled Social Media Marketing Element and Online Brand Engagement, an investigation in coffee shop industry. This proposal is under process and developed with some collaboration. I collaborate with some author from United Kingdom, Spain, and United Arab Emirates. So if we go to the next slide, I want to provide some background about the topic. Firstly, most of you know the people join the social media first to just keep touch with the family and friends. And after that, when the number of social media grows, the brands start to understand that the potential of this platform, because they can reach the customer more easily, and also the customer can follow anything related to this brand on social media. And also the brand can provide more information about last product, last discount, and also give special promotions about the brand. If we go to the next slide, we can see like last statistic about social media sites. We can see that 59.4% of the world pollution are social media users. So this is represent a very scientific shift in the way brand can communicate with the customers. Also, if you go, so what we have now in our life, what's the new in the things? The brands start to using marketing through social media sites. So the social media sites now becoming more hub for promoting product and service. And also they are offering tools to facilitate active communication between customer and brand. And also they change the way from one-way communication to two-way channel that anyone can easily contact with the brand. Also, this social media sites can be enhancing customer engagement to the brand and generating more word of mouth. In the book of Kotler in 2017, this book called Marketing 4.0, Kotler talked about something called F factor. He said friend post, customer, sorry, your friend post or family post and fans and follower can be more strong sometimes from marketing communication. So most of the customer believe with the friends post and the comment of the family is more than normal marketing communication. Next, please. So here in our study, we will focus on one tools of social media marketing called social media marketing elements. This is a new framework created before like 10 years. And the first focused on luxury fashion industry. And this model it's included 5 dimensions: entertainment, interaction, readiness, customization, and word of mouth. And several authors later examined this model in different industries such as banks, communication companies, and service industries, and used with the several contexts. And some author also consider this model, social media marketing element, as a supportive tool for traditional promotion tactics. So if we want to just define our independent variable social media marketing, we can say it's one way that to offer to the company a tools to build and maintain stakeholder communication or maintain stakeholder relationships. This component can be entertainment post, can be interaction, easy way to interaction, can be sharing trendy information about the product, or can be customized the post depending on specific group of the people, depending on age or gender. Uh, from other side, if we go to next please, if we go to the previous study, which examined the relation between social media marketing element and engagement in tourism studies, we can see that in the last 3 studies, Aljarah 2022 and the other two articles, they focus on overall social media elements. They didn't study the dimension of each this social media marketing element. So they didn't also examine how is the difference between this element of social media marketing. And also, these studies focus on specific skills of customer engagement and eliminated something called behavioral engagement. Behavioral is more related to the customer behavior. And also these studies focus on, if we can see in the slide, airlines, restaurant, and casino. So in our study, we will go more to focus something called online brand engagement, which is liking, sharing, committing. And this is more related, it's more related to behavioral sites. And most of the people join to these social media sites to give comment, to share, to like. These things can generate more sales, can attract more customers. If we, to be clear about our studies, can you go to the model of study, please? If you check the model of study, you can see there is independent variable, social media marketing elements, and we have also online brand engagement. We in this study, we examined the relation between dimension of social media marketing elements and also dimension of online brand engagement. We want to study the direct relation between each one of them to know the difference and which one is considered more strong from other. And also we want to know if there is a scientific relation or scientific effect for moderator of gender, male, female, or there is a scientific relation for brand likability to know which one can be affecting more difference. And also one of our suggestions to this study, we want to make multiple group analysis between male and female to know which one can be affecting more or our model of study. If we go to the next also, so we have 3 research questions. How do social media marketing influencing liking? Second research question, how do social media influence sharing? Third research question, how social media influence commuting. And the last one, how do brand likability and gender moderate the relation between social media, marketing, and online brand engagement. Again, for hypothesis, we have, for direct hypothesis or for direct relation, we have 15 hypotheses. And also for moderator hypothesis, we have 6 hypotheses in total. So in the total, we have 21 hypotheses. And this hypothesis, I hope we will show us the difference between each dimension and which can be the most driver of online brand engagement. For research contribution, our expectation for research contribution, it can be we will make we will take some evidence from coffee shop industry in USA. We will use it with Instagram page, which is didn't examine a lot in the previous study of tourism industry. We will go to major dimension of social media marketing, and also we will focus on major dimension of online brand engagement. And we will use some new moderator which can be affecting the relation to know the difference between of them. If we go more to the methodology part, we will use convenience sampling techniques. We will depend on several study to adapt our questionnaire. We're thinking to use pilot study about 50 questionnaire to know if there is any problems in our questionnaire. We will use 5-point Likert to measure the questions, and also the data will be collected using Amazon Mechanical Turk from USA. This platform is crowdsourcing platform. It uses about a lot of scholars now to collect data with very easy way, with very correct way. And normally a lot of studies now examined in the tourism industry use this technique because this is offer for you more chance to collect data very easily. So again, to be more clear, we will use USA, we will focus on hospitality industry, we will focus on Instagram page, coffee shop customers. We will take it, we will use online questionnaire survey. Which target customer we want, we will focus only on the customer who are follower and active participation of this coffee shop page. So these people should be, or he or she should be making interaction with the content of coffee shop, should be make posting review, should be sharing videos on the specific relevant criteria. This criteria, it will be help us to define, or this criteria will confirm for us that all the questionnaire, all the response were actively participant or follower or no. So to know who's our response or correct response, we will add something called screening question at the starting or at the beginning of survey, just to know who can be qualified to continue with our questionnaire or no. And this is used by a lot of previous study in last 10 years. And I use it with several times just to qualify the response. So we will have 3 sample questions. Have you ever interacted with coffee shop? Yes, no. Are you active follower? Yes, no. Did you visit or have experience in a coffee shop one month before? Yes, no. So the respondent who will answer yes for screening question will continue the questionnaire. And already the system in the Amazon Turk, he helping for this feature. So he can help us to, the website can help us to know whose answer no, he will go direct automatically out of questionnaire. If we go to the questionnaire, we're thinking to divide the questionnaire depending on 4 sections: objective purpose, screening question, demographic, and questionnaire. Already the questionnaire we adapted from several sources. From Kimco, we used 11 items. We will use also liking, sharing, comment from 2010. And rank likability, we will use it from Sync 2004, and for gender, we will use male and female. For also for one of the suggestion of my co-author for the brand, for select the brand, which brand will be included in our questionnaire. For this, we're thinking to depend on the recent statistic about the best 5 coffee shop brand on the Instagram, and we will let the customers, or we will let the response select one of 5 coffee shop brand, and we will try to ask them 2 questions. Please select one of 5 coffee shops brand, and feel or second question, please recall your prior experience on the coffee shop on Instagram account, and then answer the question of following section. The last slide for statistical methods, we will use IBM SPSS to getting missing data and outliers, and also to get information about frequency, percentage, average, and standard deviation and correlation. We will use Cronbach alpha for validity, and reliability. We will use also AFA to know if there is any problem in questionnaire. And after that, we will go to the next stage to know to using confidence factor analysis. We will try to know if we don't have any problem in convergent and discriminant validity, and we will use directly structural equation modeling to hypothesize the direct relationship. For moderator test, we will use the plugin of Highest to know if there is any difference in moderator, and also we will use SPSS Highest to get the group analysis for moderator effect. And I hope we will get good result in the end. And I also I don't know if we will continue with same model, but we will try to develop it more and more. Thank you very much to everyone, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim, for the presentation. And next study belongs to Meri, Taksi, Deveciyan. Didem Kayalı Dere'den. Mr. Deveciyan, I'd like to invite you to the stage. Or Mrs. Didem, can you hear me?
Didem Hoca was here, but
Here or not? Absent? I can't hear nobody. Mr.
Didem Hoca was here, but I don't know where she is right now.
Maybe drop the system.
Okay.
Yes, we can skip. Maybe there's a problem, a technical problem. Next study belongs to Ayşegül Seferoğlu. Mrs. Ayşegül Seferoğlu, please come to the stage.
Yes, please. The floor is yours.
We are listening, Mrs. Seferoğlu. Yes, okay.
Hello and welcome again. It's a pleasure to present before you. I will talk about retail internationalization. Can you hear me well? First, I would like to check about that. Okay. First,
meanwhile, sorry Ayşegül Hocam. Didem Hocam is here. Mustafa Hocam.
Okay.
Okay, we continue, Ayşegül Hoca. After
Later
that.
then, okay.
Okay, later.
Okay.
Okay, we are listening.
And Sabri Hocam, I'm gonna need your help with the slides, please. I still cannot figure out. Thank you very much.
I'm here. I'm here for you. Don't worry about it.
Again, hello and welcome everyone, and it's a pleasure to present before you. And I will talk about retail internationalization.
First, I will very briefly summarize how the retail internationalization theory and literature evolved since the 1980s, and then I will conclude with the proposal of an agenda for future conceptual and theoretical advancement of the discipline. Why do we start with 1980s, although the international activities of the retailers date back to earlier times? Because in the second half of the last century, retailers have grown extensively, first at home and then increasingly abroad, and sometimes even outshining the manufacturers to such an extent that they were described as the movers and shakers of the global economy. And this was the period that the area started to emerge as an area of research. May I have the second slide, please? And first things first, let's start with some basic definitions. International retailing can be defined as the establishment of operations and or consumer relationships in new markets. There are various definitions of retail internationalization. The most comprehensive one introduced by the Alexander and Myers, but I would like to, whatever the definition is, the most important aspect I would like to underline is that retail internationalization is a market-specific, market-serving internationalization, which involves servicing customers in non-domestic markets. And let's go on with the with some background on the environment where it started to emerge as a research area. And in the post-war period, international operations of the U.S. retailers started to increase, thus creating a major interest among the U.S. academicians. And although the European retailers were among the first international operations, U.S. retailers appeared as the more dynamic force within the international retail environment than their European counterparts. And by the mid-70s and 80s, both the US and the European retailers were very busy with internationalization. And next slide. As for the European retailers, the economic uncertainty of the mid-70s and the market saturation in their domestic markets led the large European retailers reactively to look beyond further their home markets, which resulted in large-scale retail investments, especially within North America. And as for U.S. retailers, and the post-war economic stability and prosperity in the U.S. increased their ability proactively to respond to the opportunities in the international environment and to address the new challenges. And also previously inaccessible markets became reachable. Thus, the opportunities for international expansion enter into a new phase. Next slide, please. And early attempts to provide a conceptual structure were made by Treadgold, Salmon and Tordman and Pellegrini, and it was their body of work that began the process of bringing the much earlier work of Hollander up to date. And with the development of trajectory, the study of international retailing developed from a position of observation through one of analysis to one of conceptual development in the Alexander and Myers, we can tell. Next slide, please. May I have the next slide? Okay, I will continue. Let's have a quick look at these. What were these early contributions? The first contribution was Hollander's his classification of international retailers and the fundamentals of retail internationalization provided valuable insights for academicians of subsequent generations for future conceptual and theoretical development. And inspired by his Hollander's work, Treadgold grouped international retailers based on entry modes and operational strategies, and also divided them into 4 clusters defined by the geographical presence and time. And his work provided a logical perspective for further conceptual studies and discussions. Salmon and the next contribution came from the Salmon and Tordman, who adopted a strategy approach, and they introduced a strategic classification of retailers. The classification underlined the capacity of a retail organization to transfer its retail knowledge across national boundaries. And another early contribution came from Pellegrini, he applied the Dunning's-Olive framework, actually, which was developed based on the internationalization of manufacturing firms. And Pellegrini applied his framework to the internationalization of retailing. And doing so, he started a process of a long line of attempts to adopt concepts from the wider academic literature. And however, I mean, these contributions were very useful and very helpful, but they were early contributions, and the conceptualization of the retail internationalization was relatively underdeveloped until mid-1990s. Starting from the mid-1990s, having accumulated a body of knowledge based on the experiences of retailers' internationalizations, and these early contributions were in place as guidelines. The discipline was now able to begin to conceptualize the process and elements of retail internationalization. In this period, Bird developed a very useful and detailed chronology of retail internationalization based on the UK retailers' international retail activities since 1960s. And that was the very first example of its kind, and his work was replicated by Davies and Ferguson later with the Japanese retailers. These works led Dawson to write an influential article in which he pointed out the organizational differences between the manufacturing and retailing firms, and he warned against the unjustified transfer and ill-matched use of the general concepts of theories. And next contribution came from the, in this period, Simpson and Thorpe, in their twin model. They developed this model in order to help specialty retailers to assess the internationalization as a suitable growth strategy. Although it was found very simplistic, it provided a valuable contribution because it was developed in the practical managerial tradition. And also Alexander introduced a motivations matrix in this period, which was the basis of his future work. And Sternker's Sire model intended to combine a range of theoretical perspective, but without a justification of how these elements could be combined into one model. And next contribution came from Halfrey, Hinfelar, and Casper, and they classified the overseas activities of international retailers into 5 groups. And this classification's contribution was the integration of cultural dimension into the international retailing. And also Doherty's work was a contribution in this period, and she exerted effort to explain the basis of the theories she applied to the international retailing. So now it was time for more robust and applicable frameworks in retail internationalization theory, because all those models that I mentioned so far were attempts to bring a range of theoretical perspectives together without putting them into a broader framework of conceptual thought. In contrast to them, the following attempts were made to do so from a retail-specific perspective. In 1998, Vidar, Reardon, and Fairhurst, in their IRI model, they used various concepts, and they provided detailed explanations as to how these concepts translate to international retailing. And their model was also recognized for providing a rigorous conceptualization. And Alexander and Myers arguing rightly that the conceptual frameworks developed in non-retail and non-service environments do not explain the process of retail internationalization. They focus their work on the first principles of international trade and revisiting the early works of Olin, Linder, and Vernon. They offer 2 frameworks based on the understanding that retail internationalization process is a product of both company-based management process and market-based processes. And you can see these frameworks in the coming slides. And can we come to the agenda for future conceptual development, please? Because from Alexander and Mayer's work actually kind of summarize all the direction of the work that have been going on so far. So next, please, to the next slides. Can we come to the agenda for future conceptual development? Can we move forward, please? And one more slide. One more slide, Sabri Hocam.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Today, although the area is rich in articles and research, retail internationalization is still considered in the process of theoretical and conceptual development. And as for the advancement of the theory, retail internationalization, there are few points to underline. And the first one is the dilemma of the future theory building, because retail internationalization does not exist in isolation. It must be considered in the context of the theories of international trade, foreign direct investment, and the internationalization process of the firms. And from the perspective of retail internationalization, there's an understanding of the foundations of these theories. The process of international retailing cannot be understood properly. So, provided that these understandings are in place, along with the understanding of the limitations of the different disciplines, the employment of interdisciplinary research lens and integration of multiple theoretical frameworks will contribute to the advancement of the discipline. And methodology also can be a robust platform for future development of the discipline, and increasing the number of case studies and empirical research that inform and strengthen the knowledge base will contribute to a more robust theory building. And there is still much to learn from the past insights, and also the extended and updated versions of the previous work will contribute by strengthening the continuity in the retail internationalization literature. And we definitely need, and finally, we definitely need new insights, because with the onset of new millennium, international retailers face new complexities and issues ranging from the digitalization, changing consumer behavior and environment, rise of new mega competitors such as Amazon, Alibaba, and to imposing pressure of the geopolitical dynamics on the structure of markets and competition. Although some considerable recent and contemporary effort has been devoted to understanding the effects of these new complexities and issues on retail internationalization, new further insights based on the analysis of the divergent and convergent processes which exist within the host regional and global environments in connection with these effects will definitely contribute to the overall retail internationalization literature, and it will contribute to the conceptual and theoretical advancement of the discipline. And also equally important, these insights will also enhance the international retail managers' understandings and knowledge of the most pressing retail internationalization issues. To conclude with, I would like to underline once more that the fundamental theories of international trade, foreign direct investment, and the internationalization of firms are important for our understanding of equity, and also retailing has to be seen as part of wider trends associated with internationalization in the service sector. So theory development continues in this area, and I believe that any contribution attempts towards theory building should take these points into account. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation. I like to invite Didem for her presentation. Didem, we are listening to you.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear me?
but let me go back to your presentation. Yes, okay.
Okay, thank you, Sabri Hocam. I was here since the beginning of the session, but I couldn't let the microphone work. That's why I'm so sorry for the previous thing. And I want to thank you for all the organization contributors. That is a very disruptive idea to make that in a metaverse. And thank you for the opportunity. I myself and my colleague Meri, we have been working for almost 6 months to understand the blockchain transactions effect on the international trade. And in this conference, I'm going to summarize the effects of the P2P transactions in international trade analysis, in international trade. As I said, this presentation will analyze the online commercial activities and SWOT analysis will be the method for the commercial institutions. You will see some key concepts, examples about the paradigms in blockchain for finance, for transports and logistics. And at the end, I will summarize some future directions or scenarios for blockchain transactions in commercial system. Even though there are a lot of search in blockchain related to just a second, a lot of research in blockchain in local literature, the institutional, the commercial dimension with cutting-edge use cases or adoption of blockchain in logistics are studied scarcely in Turkey. Therefore, we try to guide the academicians in terms of that subject. As we have said, the previous slide, please, Hocam. The technology has become important for especially for the late Y generation and Z generation, you know, and their way of thinking or their way of using the technology is different than us, and they are, for example, they find meaningless to be unable to transfer money at the weekend because none of the apps that they use to have this kind of thing is enability, and they have never encountered a notification on TikTok that you cannot share videos between these hours, something like that. They do not know or they do not see that kind of warning. This is meaningless for them that the banks are closed at noon because they did not have witnessed in such a practice in Instagram, etc. So they understand the world from their fingers, and when they want to experience something, they use their fingers to share button, or they follow the practices of their peers, etc. If their phone has a sufficient charge, they may prefer to have electricity cut off rather than having their internet connection cut off. This fast, instant, and connected state of mind determines the perspective on everything around them, and their approach to banking and finance has changed the way of doing business also. And there are some the things are not banks anymore for them, and the states that are using that kind of modern technology are mostly in the southeastern part of the world. As I have added here a paragraph from a research 2022, back to other slides, previous slide, please. The 26% of the people from India, which the country is now the most populated country in the world now, overpopulated than China, they have the 26% of the people have their digital bank account, and in 13% of them will have in the close days, I mean in the next year. Okay, you see the apps, they are not banks, as you see. And let me let's have a look at how the blockchain works here. There is a network of computational nodes, and each client logged on the network receives a copy of the updated and validated data. I have not summarized the concepts of the blockchain here because we are in a metaverse. I think I don't need to repeat the decentralized, transparent or open source, immutable, etc. Therefore, I'm skipping that part. But the P2P is now very important in terms of the both validation of the contracts and also control and acknowledgement of the truth. In terms of the that of the truth, we are in an area of that of the truth, right? So the blockchain will be able to provide that truth for the commerce also in a very short time. And okay, DeFi, decentralized finance. Most of the P2P payments market in 2021 has reached the volume of 2.2 billion and expected to grow 3 billion at the end of the more than 3 billion at the end of the 2023. I missed that part, I think. And Asia Pacific region, as I said in the previous slide, became the largest region in terms of P2P payment markets in 2023 because this densely populated part of the world enables many sub-branches of the mobile industry at the same time. Therefore, the online banking and mobile banking users can easily update themselves to P2P blockchain markets, and they started to use that in commerce also. Okay, next slide, please. And banking. HSBC, I'm just summarize the first transaction from 2018 here. As you can guess, it's from the southeast part of the world. HSBC provided the first financing of an export operation with blockchain technology in May 2018, and the bank issued the letter of credit for Cargill to a Dutch lender. I don't know, I didn't write down the name, but the bank was important here, the ING. And the trade finance transaction involved a bulk shipment of soybeans from Argentina to Malaysia. For this transaction, the bank used the platform developed by the startup R3, and this process normally takes more than 1 week or even 10 days, but through all the process, using the blockchain technology, the time required for each steps took less than 24 hours, according to the Brown article. In 2021, Akbank became the first Turkish bank who used the WeTrade platform of IBM. And through this platform, they carried out the payment commitment on behalf of its customer, and the platform provides a credit guarantee and financing to the exporters in blockchain environment. It also offers a secure and digital payment guarantee to the importers. Next, please. Okay, blockchain logistics process with blockchain. What are the steps? What are the benefits? There is a chart here. I can say that the obvious benefits are the documentation easiness and efficient delivery route control, for example, or the authenticity of the documents can be proved easily also. Fraud prevention is a source of the problem for today's operations. And fraud is the source of the problem in logistics operations, but blockchain can help to prevent that kind of frauds. And no need to third parties, even for customs. They can manage. I have explained all the details in the article, but I will skip it in order to be in the 10 minutes presentation limits. And smart contract development is the most important thing from Ethereum, you have heard. And logistics with blockchain, we can say that the things that starts from the factory, goes to supplier, logistics operator, carrier, warehouse, and consignee. All these points can use the blockchain system by using certificates, some smart contracts in order to process the data, in order to process the goods also. Bill of lading is an important problem in today's international trade because it's related to the ownership. If the carrier knows if the carrier holds the bill of lading, it means the truck owner holds the ownership of the product. So by using blockchain, you can get rid of that kind of uncertainty points or gray points of the international trade also. Let me summarize the blockchain technology in logistics activities specific to export-import operations have some results. Easy to track the product route from manufacturer to seller, easy management of the documents necessary for the transaction, and supply chain optimization, cost reduction, and information stored in the blocks are unalterable and immutable. Yes, that slide is explaining who uses the blockchain technology all over the world in global international trade arena and how. First, I have to mention the Blockchain in Transport Alliance. This is an organization, in fact, and they are standard setters, and they help to educate and establish the standards of blockchain applications in international transport industry. FedEx, UPS, DHL, and TradeLens. I'm going to mention TradeLens in the last of this session. No, just go back to the previous slide. FedEx has a pilot project under the way of blockchain to share the shipment information among the suppliers. UPS filed a patent application which outlines the need for verifiable shipping and tracking visibility system for units handled by the single carrier's network and between multiple carriers when necessary. A patent application is very important in terms of international trade. That's why I have added this example. DHL also uses blockchain technology to create nodes in 6 global locations nowadays. And the TradeLens is an IBM Myers joint venture company. Provide and exchange information and record of transaction. Now the next slide, Sabri hocam. And problems related to blockchain started to have appeared at the middle of the 2022. First, the financial crisis related to WeTrade organization caused the bankruptcy of the company in the June 2023. Following them, as of November 2022, the joint venture of Maersk and IBM, TradeLens, discontinued. They announced their discontinuation, and they explained that how. Let me read it. TradeLens was founded on a bold vision for global supply chain digitization as an open and neutral industry platform. This vision centered on the ability to enable true information sharing and collaboration across highly fragmented industry globally. Unfortunately, such a level of cooperation and industry support has not been able to be achieved at this point. I mean, now we have to announce the discontinuation of the trade lens. You see, these big organizations had been closed in order not to be able to provide the necessary systems to the all parties. Okay, the next slide, please. Public
Hocam,
service.
it delayed because please expedite your presentation and wrap up.
Yes, I have 2 more slides, or 3 at least, at most, I mean. I'm going to expedite.
Okay.
Maybe if you can, the public services, if you want to, let's go to the pain points of the blockchain then. Next slide, Sabri Hocam. Okay, these are the pain points that we have to mention because we are going to analyze the system according to these pain points. Contract creation, manual contract creation was one of the most important pain points. Invoice fabricating is another important thing. And delayed timelines can be controlled, and manual AML review and anti-money laundering review also is another problem. And if you use blockchain, you can skip that part also. And okay, next slide, Sabri Hocam. And I'm going to summarize the SWOT analysis for you. As I think we all know, what are the strengths? There is no need for third party. There is a traceability also, and process efficiency, productivity in terms of decentralized, a lower cost, lower risk, speed, transparency, unharmed privacy, etc. But what are the weaknesses? The maturity, most important problem in terms of commercial transactions is the maturity. And the change management is not achieved yet. It cannot be able to be achieved yet. Integration with the legal systems are still ongoing process. And there are an important standardization problems also. Low capacity and processing speed and the ownership challenge can be a problem when you use blockchain, because you cannot change it. And scalability is a problem also. And security against the cyber criminals is, because it's not mature enough, it's a kind of weakness also. And what are the opportunities? Let me summarize it again. Smart contracts in banking and insurance can be an opportunity. IoT opportunities is also important for commercial transactions. Know your customer database can be an important opportunity for the SMEs commercial transactions also. But let me summarize also the threats. The GDPR is a problem. They cannot manage, for example, the collapse of the trade lens, mostly not related to the financial reasons, but also mostly related to legal issues. That's why these are important. Government's willingness to adapt this technology is a problem also. And also regulations are needed, as I said at this slide. So what are the things and future statements for the blockchain-based applications in commerce? As I have mentioned in the previous slide, it's still in the development phase. Therefore, more researches are needed. the global blockchain applications for payment process in foreign trade transactions, banks are forced to digitize the activities, therefore the cost reduction has occurred. It's much easier and cheaper especially for the new generations. But the blockchain-based solutions should be used to process for the processes that takes weeks, days, etc., which are complex and which may have hidden costs, rather than the transactions that are easy. And some global blockchain logistics initiatives like V-Trade and TradeLens has been shut down recently, as I have exemplified. And decentralized and digitalized systems are still complicated, but for most of the merchants, and let's accept that, the system is not completely immune from the hacker attacks, etc. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you all for joining first session. I close session now. Next session will soon start. Therefore, please don't leave the conference room. Yes, Sabri Hocam, for the next session, I close the session.
Yes, the session is ended. Congratulations.